turning a little bit on what I want Brad Holmes, how I want him to address this offseason. And what this pick tells me, this is my speculation scenario. This is my scenario I want you guys to chew on here for a second. So I'm looking at this, and I'm thinking this signing of Mosley, this means that they're going for a cornerback with their first pick. They're either trading up for someone who can at least start this. You're going to have to throw someone into the fire to either be your number one or guard the other team's number one wide receiver. So I'm thinking maybe a bigger cornerback. But I do think they're attacking the first round with a cornerback, hoping Mosley comes back midway through the season, they can help develop whoever that player is. If he can withstand the first couple months of the season, they can keep developing him while Mosley's in the building, working with Sutton, working with Vilder, working with maybe C.D. Deuce.
Maybe.
They're waiting for Mosley to come back. But what that tells me, there's a lot of speculation about L'Jarius Sneed, a big deal incoming with L'Jarius Sneed. But I don't want to have to acquire a cornerback in a trade, especially if you got all these young guys. You got Mosley maybe coming back. You just drafted a number one cornerback. So what's the one thing or one position or one player even that you think could help out a secondary the most? He's a big boy. It's Chris Jones. It's Chris Jones. You go and you pay Chris Jones. You come in here and you let him be a game wrecker. You let him absolutely transform this entire defense next to Ali McNeil, next to Aiden Hutchinson. This new cornerback you're drafting, whether it's 29, you move up to 18 to get Quinyon Mitchell. You got Chris Jones right in the middle, causing a ruckus, making it that much harder for the quarterbacks. That's what I'm about. I know Brad Holmes is talking about attacking free agency with depth. We're talking about depth?
Yeah.
We're talking about depth here?
Allen Iverson voice, yeah. We're talking about depth.
Right? JB, is there a clip you can play? We're talking about depth?
Oh, yeah. Here we go.
So you're worried about depth? Like depth is I didn't even know they had depth. I'm just happy to be there. You're worried about like depth is an issue? So you're
like seriously though, Brett.
Yeah.
Chris Jones to me, if you're worried about depth, that's two human beings. Yeah. You get one person for $30 million. That's two players.
Yeah,
sold.
Because I know that the price tag is high, and a lot of people they talk about.
Worried about
what will
depth?
this do?
I just had to get that in there.
See, I knew JV was going to be cooking.
And the TD move, JV Smooth, Woodward Sports MVP. But you know what? Ryan Ermanni and Braylon Edwards, they were talking about this yesterday, and they made the same exact point. Yes, it's going to be a high price tag, but he's more than worth it because of how good he can make all three levels of your defense, man. The extra time that he gives to the cornerbacks, the little bit of time that he's going to give to the quarterback on the opposing team, what he does for your linebackers. Braylon Edwards was one who believed that a Chris Jones type of a signing, not only does it help out an Aiden Hutchinson and an Ali McNeil, but he believed that Jack Campbell was one of the ones that could benefit the most from having a player like Chris Jones on this team.
It helps linebackers, it helps secondary, it helps everybody.
And that's why that price tag is the one that he would command. Absolutely. And you talk about on this team, for me personally, it's about maximizing this Super Bowl window. If you were still kind of in this build mode to kind of see what you are, trying to get to the playoffs, maybe trying to win a playoff game, maybe trying to win the division for the first time, yeah, maybe you take a step back and say, you know what, we're not ready to go out there and make this type of a splash. But when you're going out there right after you lose to the San Francisco 49ers and all the players have continued and the coaches have continued to talk about the fact that, you know what, we want to be one of those teams that's right back. We believe we're going to be one of those teams that's right back. You got to go out there and you got to push that button. As Sam would say, as it relates to the draft, like pick. As it relates to free agents that I believe absolutely put the Detroit Lions over the top, is Chris Jones. He's one of those guys that I'm just like, sign. With the cap space going up, with them being able to kind of re-sign some of their players and lower their current year cap hits, I'm actually all for a signing like that if they could get it done. And it's crazy because Chris Jones, I don't know if it's necessarily been rumors over the last couple of years of maybe Detroit Lions' interest, but at least I know it's continued to kind of fester and pop up to some degree. And now that this guy's a free agent and they're telling him to go out there and explore it, I'm really hoping that Detroit Lions, at the very least, kick the tires and see what could be had out of Chris Jones.
Yeah. And Xavier D, I happen to agree with you. I don't think Brad drops a bag on anyone. Rentals and draft talent, that is what I'm assuming the draft strategy, the free agency strategy is. But I'm getting closer and closer. Maybe this is my pound the table moment. Like, take advantage of now. Just go for it.
What are you waiting for?
Yeah.
And I'm all with Brad Holmes and the strategy. It's worked, people. Like, There's nothing against that. But when you get so close to a Super Bowl, you have to take advantage of that window. We don't know when we're going to be back here. We assume we're going to be back here, but nothing's guaranteed in this league, man. And if you have the money to not only be able to pay free agents, but still be able to take care of your own guys, I feel like the time is now. You got to move on it.
And let's look at some of the, and we got to get to break because Chef Brett Holmes is about to cook coming up next. We're going to go over a little grocery list of his. But you look at some of the top cornerbacks on the free agency market, even some of the top in the league. Let's just start in Kansas City. L'Jarius Sneed and Trent McDuffie, studs. Who do they have right there in the middle? Chris Jones.
Yeah.
Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed. Even Michael Carter III was a 7th-ranked quarterback according to PFF. They got Quinnen Williams. Bengals DJ Reader, Chidobe Awuzie, and Mike Hilton. There's I literally have a list of 10 different players, like the top 12 to 20 cornerbacks. They all have a stud at defensive tackle or a top pass rusher. It's what you got to do, especially if you're going to go the draft and develop route. You can still develop. You can actually develop better with a guy like Chris Jones stuffing the middle.
And Chris Jones. Oof.
Yeah, and Herb Nash in the chat, he says, we say this would be great, but would Jones say pick to come to Detroit? I do believe that this is a completely different Detroit Lions than the past. Who knows if he says pick to come to Detroit? I know that there was some hubbub going up on social media because of an emoji he put up that makes people believe maybe he has some interest in the Raiders. But I believe that this Detroit Lions team, especially with the way the organization is going, if you got the cash, I think that that's going to speak louder than anything else. And then when you talk about the fact that he can be you talk about a cult figure in Detroit. If you help this Detroit Lions get over the top, I don't know how much that does or doesn't matter to him. But I do know, as it relates to Sheila, as it relates to Brad, as it relates to Dan, if they believe that Chris Jones is the guy to put them over the top, I think that they're going to do everything in their power to say, hey, let's make this happen. I do agree with you that I believe that they're going to take more of a reserved approach to free agency and try and really go out there and get some home runs in the draft.
Yeah. Hey, we'll see. But